passengers racing for freedom, Mouse. And now, our undefeated champion, Nitro! Last man standing wins. 3, 2, 1. Strike! Nitro's right on her tail! Ladies and gentlemen, they're in the tunnel! I think she's showing off. Wow, what a move! I don't think she can take much more. Headed straight for each other! Nitro's here for the first time ever! Oh, that's it! He's coming in hot! Game over, Mouse! Not looking good for Mouse! Oh, Nitro, no! Oh, well. Who's next?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. It's always awkward at first because we're talking, but there's probably no one in the room, right? Because everybody's just connecting now. It goes whoop, whoop, whoop. So, yeah, hello, everyone. Welcome to another stream for Toon Boom. It's on YouTube and Twitch, and it's going to be also available later as VODs. But, yeah, welcome, everyone. As usual, it's going to be fun. And I am joined today with two super cool guests that have their own cool studio called Studio Cagoule. And I will let them introduce themselves. Yeah.
Hi, so I'm Mathieu, and she's Louise, and we are Cagoule Animation. Not that old studio. We're only been active for 2 years, but really 1 year full time. And we just released a music video a few weeks ago called Adresse Metal. And so, yeah.
That's pretty much it. A 2D animation studio based in Montreal.
Yeah. And we work mostly with Toon Boom.
Yeah, of course.
Yay. And I'm Marie-Ève, but I would usually go by Mel, or people also know me by Z. It's my secret, not so secret identity. And I will be your host today for this cool stream. And as usual, I have to go ahead and say the boring rules, but hey, I have to do it. So as usual, you guys just have to be nice in the chat. Don't write any profanities. It's not nice. And you are free to ask any questions that you want throughout the stream. I will try my best to keep a look at them, and we're going to answer them organically as we go. Of course, if you ask any kind of NDA or irrelevant question, they will be ignored because, you know, we can't answer these kind of things. But if you have any questions about our cool guests or about what they do or the work or the scenes or whatever, feel free to ask, and we're going to try to help as much as we can. And if you also have just very nice comments or you just want to say hi, this is also welcome.
Talk to us.
Yeah. And yeah, so my name is Mel. I've been at Toon Boom for a while. I don't know how many years. Just there, like, you know, furniture. And aside from that, I've worked on a couple of productions, including Wakfu and Glitch and Big Hero 6 series. So a bit of everything. So if you have any questions in general, I'll be happy to help as well. But enough about me. We have cool guests here. and it's cool that you guys introduced like your cool studio and all. But I am curious. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Learning animation, easing into it, like schools and whatever. Like, how did you get into that crazy industry?
Yeah. So, do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Or do you want
Start.
To... Okay, I'm going first. So, like, we both went to the Cégep du Montréal in 2D animation, and we graduated in 2014.
2014. Yeah.
Thank you for the fact.
With me, I forgot to say we went to school together.
So nice. And then later on, well, Mathieu went to. Well, do you want me to introduce you, or like I split the presentation?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna go with the flow.
Yeah, go with the flow.
Okay, good. So Mathieu do a certification in script writing at the University.
At UQAM, yeah,
at the University du Québec, Montréal.
Yeah,
that's the.
I did 1 year in screenwriting.
Yeah.
Which was the whole course was 1 year.
Yeah, certification, and then like I did the film animation program at Concordia, and graduated like later on since we started working quite early after graduating from Cégep du Montréal.
Yeah, you was working while you were at school, so that was
at
kind
university.
Yep.
So we found jobs in studios in Montreal doing like cartoon shows. Mathieu was working like on Archer on the
on Arthur, not Archer, the kids show. So that was my first job in the industry back at but when it was called Oasis. Now it's Sphere.
Yeah,
and I worked on Arthur, and I worked there for like I think a good 5 years.
You worked on Les Grandes Gueules. I don't know what's the name in English.
Les Grandes Gueules, Arthur, something for Netflix called Kulipari Nobody Saw.
A bunch of
F
stuff.
is for Family for 2 seasons.
And you were a lead.
Didn't you guys worked on Kulipari with the frog thing?
Yeah, that's that's the show that.
Oh, sorry, that's what I wasn't sure if I heard. We all have these shows like that. We're like, I did this.
Yeah, it's like I don't.
And that's it.
You ever dream of a show?
And then after that, I moved on, worked on a few other studios.
Yeah,
so we basically both worked for 10 years in the industry before starting our own studio.
Yeah, but we did a few like freelance contracts together. Like
also,
we're a couple, by the way. So like just to so we started going out like for almost a year, and then we got like a contract in freelance, and we started working together on those side contracts, side hustle and stuff. So we worked for like big live action shows in Montreal to like put animation on it and stuff. So our collaboration started in 2015, but then the studio like was born in 2022, and that's kind of it. Yeah, and I worked mainly on like preschool TV shows. Mathieu was more on the teenager TV shows, so it's kind of funny how it was 2 worlds apart, but still.
Outside of freelance work, we were working on at different studios.
Yeah,
and
and that's why I was so excited to have you guys on stream as guests, because it's so nice to have such a solid, like diverse background. And like you guys said, you went to Cégep, like tiny university here, and then you went to different like course, either university or certifications. Then you also did freelance. You worked in studios. And I think all of these experiences is what makes Cagoule such like a good small studio, because you guys can take on tasks because you have other experiences and stuff, and you learned a lot. Like, it's not like if you just started a studio right freshly out of school, like you had stuff to back it up. But I think that's why things are so great.
That in the context of the industry right now, it's super important, because like there's not many jobs right now in the industry, like in Quebec or in Canada. So it's easier for us. Yeah, it's easier for us to find like freelance work as a studio, like as a small team, just by pitching in like all of our expertise together. Yeah. So we can like do a bunch of different things. Like right now we're doing motion design works, because I did motion design for 2 years for a small studio. So like that experience is coming back to help us to work as Cagoule. So it's kind of nice just to like have this experience and like know where we're going. So we're not depending on external aid for the studios. All of the expertise is between the two of us, and we don't have to like rely as heavily on like part-time employees, for example, and stuff. Like we can hire freelancer to do just what they're good at. So kind of the nice part.
We can also do like most kind of jobs that there is. So we can do either designs or backgrounds or animations or rigging. We can both do it, so we can share the load for the two of us. But the experience we gathered in the industry is
like the foundation of Cagoule.
Yeah, it's only because of that we can have the company now, because basically we're selling our knowledge, and like the way we approach clients is that we can take care of everything technical. So we get some clients that don't know anything about animation, but we can reassure them and tell them that, oh, we got this covered. You can be creative with us. We will find ways to make your vision come true. So if we didn't have this expertise, there would be no way for us to get those clients to have the
when we say the good relationship and the creativeness, that's so important. And often in these like freelance contract, we've all got that, where it's like, oh, but like how much do you charge? And that comes into it too, like the experience and knowing how much time things take, because I've seen it. A lot of people who want to quote unquote start their own studio, but they're not even done with school. They're like, when they're asked like, how much do you charge? Either they give crazy numbers or they just don't know.
Yeah.
And that creative answer is so important, because I don't think there is one price you can pay per seconds of animation, because every project is different. And I think we talked about that before, but like we have a similar approach where it's not so much about how much we charge, more like, what is your budget? And like, if your budget is too low, we will try to make the animation, like we're going to cut corner. And if it's higher, like we will be able to make it prettier and stuff. I think it's always like a discussion to have.
That's a big part of like a discussion we have with clients, is that what's your budget? And we can tell them like, for that amount, we could do this. If you don't have that amount, we can cut this, we can cut that, we can reduce the amount of characters. But we know where to cut corners and to keep like a good level of quality. We just change the complexity of the project.
And everything is like about the timeline. Like with the music video that we did for Rouge Pompier like 2 years ago, I think now. Like for this contract, they told us we don't have much money to put on it, but you don't have a deadline. So that was kind of the condition. So
that also works.
A side project, kind of. And we still had our full-time job at that time, like working for studios, working on the Toupin Binou movie.
Yeah.
So so like working on Toupin Binou, and at night working on the Hippocampe music video. So that's kind of the balance you have to go and like to try and find with your clients. But the clients love having the choice in those.
It's flexibility.
It's the flexibility. Like they love to have the choice, and just like if you're able to put like 2,000 more, for example, we can add this special thing that you wanted. Like deal with them in that kind of way.
And that's where experience comes also.
You know how much time it costs.
You got to be able to see the whole picture and to be able to visualize what is going to be the process, and where things are going to get complicated and where you can make it simpler, or you can also do the opposite and say, oh, if you give us a little bit more money, we can push this further, we can make this even more impressive. So there's also like to be able to visualize the process is very important, I think, and that comes only with experience.
So for people like while still in school, I think the best advice I can give is like try your hand at freelance and maybe associate yourself with someone else, and don't do it alone. Just try to have a partner with you to dabble into it, so at least the weight is not all of it is not all on your shoulders. So like it's less stressful for like having an 8-hour sleep schedule and stuff. So maybe having a partner to like team up with, right, like when you get out of school and try to dabble into freelance work, and then think about opening your own company. You don't have to open it right away. You can like,
yeah, you gotta.
You shouldn't open it right away. In my opinion, I think it's so important to get experience before, at least a little bit. I don't know.
It's like the process of opening a company, like to have a tax number and stuff. It's not that complicated when you.
You have to learn that.
Oh, yeah, you have to learn that. It's like for the démarrage d'entreprise, so the startup course, the business startup course paid by the BDC Canada, so the La Banque d'Affaires du Canada. So I don't know what it is in English though. So like the small business,
I'm not sure either,
stuff from Canada, they have like business class courses that are cheaper, and it's available to everybody. It's like $70, I think, for a class for a semester.
That's sweet.
And it's like night classes, so at 6 p.m. you got your online class that you can learn about accounting, how to start with your tax numbers and stuff, how to write like a good pitch for your company to get financing, how to.
But that's an important part, though, that to not forget. Like, if in general, like, people should really be aware and look at what kind of funding you can get in your area, because Quebec is one thing, but every country is different, and you might be surprised at the opportunities that you can get in terms of like learning and teaching and funding. Yeah. Sometimes they give fundings for. I know, like, I was in Denmark, and they were helping people to kind of. They were having like places where people could work for very cheap. Like a little like incubator place where you could put your computer, they would provide electricity or something, and just be with creative people. So sometimes there's this in your area, so be aware. That is so important. I forget.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in doing just a bit of research before starting up, and I think it's like a good point to put out, just to do your research and be well informed before starting, so as to not make the big mistakes and big money mistakes. I think that's the point, the main point.
And when you start a company, you better start it right. So get an accountant, get all of
the legal documents right, with the
boring stuff.
Lawyer,
we got incorporated right away.
Yeah.
So all of those things, the sooner you get it out the door, the cleaner everything is, the less problem you'll have in the future. If the base of your structure is wobbly, then you'll get into trouble later. So you better get everything. That's what we tried to do as best we could. We didn't know a lot of things about businesses before we started.
Yeah, because we're like cartoon people, and I think that's the point of what we're trying to say. It's like it's accessible to everybody, like even for two cartoon people that were really not good with like accounting and stuff. Everybody can learn it, and it's more accessible than you think. Just search in your area, like a quick Google search can help you like just start up your company right.
The 6-month class of business class really helped us. The only 6 months of classes for the business startup.
Yeah, and it was like
a lot of help.
2 to 3 classes every week.
Yeah.
Wasn't
that was
that
worth
much
it.
of a time commitment. Like it was fine. It was good enough. Just a bit of homework, I think. Yeah, it was quite feasible, and then they give you a diploma at the end.
Oh, that's cool though, because you can get lots of advantages with
and in Quebec,
paper like that.
In Quebec, you can have the how do you call that, the benefit, the when they give you money to go do your studies, it's
grants.
Yeah, they give you grants.
Bourse.
So you can,
grants.
So grants is like studying grants. It's available for those types of classes too. So if you don't have that much money to start, you can like look into those, and the government is giving you money to start your own company. That's quite nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the hard part was getting all the experience in the industry to be able to do the work. But
back it up.
Starting the business
is the easy part.
Is the easy part, although there is some pitfalls
stressful
and mistakes to avoid. But you gotta, when you start in business, you gotta have something to sell. So don't be too eager to start
too fast.
Too fast.
And in animation, the thing that you have to sell is your talent, and it's your expertise, it's yourself.
Yeah, it's a service.
Yeah, it's a service, so it's not a tangible thing. Like it's not like merch, for example, stuff, and like drawing, specifically prints. It's more of a service. So it's something to think about before starting.
And when you do these kind of contracts, and we are talking about like creative things and talking to clients and having trust and stuff, one good way to do that is by providing like sketches and small ideas and animatics.
What a nice segue.
Good segue.
See, I had a plan. I was like, introduction and then this. So I think we're 20 minutes in. It's perfect. Amazing. Because honestly, I've done another stream and it's like, let's talk about animatics, and people are like, why? I want to see pretty pictures. But animatics is so important for all the reasons we just mentioned. When you do your project, either from a small studio or a big studio, it all comes down to an animatic, because you cannot make your final product without that. Like it's not happening.
The base of everything.
Maybe we can show you for that the little pitch we did.
Yeah.
So with the client,
please.
When we got the contract for the music video, first thing we did is we sent this little document, which is all text, just to explain like what we think we want to go with this project, what the story would be, the aesthetic and things like that, the concept in general. Yeah. So we sent that, and we also sent like a little document with visual inspirations, so things. So with this, we were going for like a 90s Cartoon Network type Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, so no drawings were made at that point. It was all text, all inspiration. And if they liked the vibe, then we would get the go-ahead to now propose something with a few drawings, concept art.
Because you don't want to start drawing too soon in case they don't like the direction.
And waste your time, waste the client's time.
Yeah. And I got to say also, at that point, there was no money involved yet. We were still trying to get the contract. When they approved it, then we went into designs. So we sent them those little designs.
So this is the first version of their characters. And then, like, they liked the vibe, but they had a few retakes for the team. So it
which
came
is
back.
normal.
So it's pretty
always
normal.
To be expected.
But after this point, like, money was starting to get involved. So like, as soon as you put out work, real work, not just like a pitch, now you start to talk about.
There was a contract that had been signed at that point.
Yeah, a written contract that we wrote. That too have contracts.
Yes, very important. You gotta sign contracts.
Even for small things, sometimes have just a template. Like it can be really short. It can be just a one-pager saying like, the client asked this artist to create a 10-minute video for my YouTube channel, and this is my contact. This is my signature.
And one thing I want to insist on that before we go on to the rest of the project is something I talked about on stream some weeks ago, where the contract, it's not even just with the clients. Because I know like a lot of students and people that start up, they get into these free projects. Like, oh, don't need a contract because there's no money involved. I'm like, yes, but when money gets involved, will be too late to have a contract. So if anyone is listening here, being like there's a lot of like video game startup or short film startup, like pilots, when it's like, well, for now it's free, but if it gets popular, we're gonna be paid. But like, and people always say, oh, I trust them because they're my friends. But even friendship, it's not about friendship. It's about people having different ways. Maybe I do a project with a friend and I'm like, oh, of course we're gonna do 50-50. And the friend is like, oh, I worked a bit more, so of course it's going to be like 80% 20. And then when it happens, both ideas are not in line. And this is where shit hits the fan. I've seen it in many projects I was helping with or whatever. So even if you're doing something with just a friend and it's like a 4 or 5 people project, always make sure that things are on paper, just because you don't want to have any misconceptions or any problems happening down the line. So yes, with a client contract, super important, but even if it's a free startup project, always prepare for such a thing. That was my little sideline.
As a couple, we have a contract signed between us.
Oh yeah.
So in the
Of course.
case, like we contacted a lawyer for this, and it's like it's a contract between c'est quoi des actionnaires?
It's parties, party members.
Shareholders? I don't know.
Shareholders, yes.
I think so. Between the shareholders, what's the contract that we have? And it's like a 14-page document. Like it's worse than a wedding document. It's super long, super exhaustive. So if I die, what happens to the company? If Mathieu dies, if we separate, like what happens?
Because it's so important.
Everything is written down. Everything is clear. And we've been together for 10 years now. And even this like trust in the relationship is not enough. Like we still needed like a paper for it. And we were both on board with this. And it's super important. So even with your partner.
Well, right? that's part of doing things right when you start a business. Like we were telling earlier, is like, because now things are going well, but who knows what?
God forbid.
You know, that's
we never know.
We don't plan on
leaving
each other or whatever, but you never know. So you gotta.
Maybe you get sick or I get sick. Like we can't really like trust the future 100%. Like right now we're young, we're happy together, and everything is good. But like you can't have your own crystal ball and like guess what the future holds for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have a contract in between us as shareholders.
And also like for this contract, at that point we talked money with the client, so it was also a way for us to put it into paper, like you promised this amount, because we don't ask the client to give us all the amount of money one time. So there was payments for them, but when they signed it, they promised to follow through on that and
to give the whole amount and stuff by a certain date. So we like provided a few main points of payments and stuff.
Super important.
So once that was done, we went on to character design. So they gave us a little bit of
retakes and stuff and back and forth. This is the point where it's fine to have like a bunch of back and forths, like it's the important point. So this is kind of the last version of the characters, so you can see the difference from where we started and like the last one. Some of them stayed quite true to the first design, but I think it was spot on. So they accepted the style that we proposed, but then like Mathieu followed through with his design and stuff, and it like stayed into like the pitch, like in the guidelines of the pitch. So it was still like close to what they imagined still. So we had like the zombie pizza and stuff.
We created all the other characters. And that's also the basis for the rigging that comes after. So, and for the zombies, to save cost, there was only like 2 designs, so 1 male, 1 female zombie, and we would just do variations on the.
This is so important. This is what in the industry people often talk about, like redress because we're gonna save money by doing a redress, and like this is actually a money saving redress. Just because I think the term can also be used like, it's a redress, but then the character is wearing like a
whole new design,
like a knight's armor, and then the redress is them in a swimsuit. I mean, that's not a redress, that's a new rig.
That's
redress is this slight little changes, especially in colors and stuff, are gonna take you so far.
Because the thing is, we didn't want to do like a different rig for the redress, so all of those would be inside of the one rig. So we would save a lot of work, because there was tons of different zombies in the short. So that's the way. With the bigger budget, we would have
like
went crazy with character designs, but was a way to save time at the design stage, but also at the rigging stage.
And it's
of
like
course
something we wanted to compromise on, the amount of zombie to like feel in the scenes and stuff. So if we wanted to keep the essence of the short film in the scenes, like, and to have that that amount of zombies and like give the impression of having a few different ones. We didn't want to compromise on it, so that's kind of the solution we came with.
And that also they wanted a little bit of Easter eggs and stuff, so they asked for one zombie with a broken leg. I guess it was a reference for one of their friends.
Yeah.
So we would also put stuff like that on the. There's even more in the actual short.
Yeah.
There's one with the cake inside of the head. That was a reference to another band. And stuff like that. So
it's kind of nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good advice if you have to do like crowds and lots of people, because I think one of the show was on like for the first episode they had like 200 secondary characters different to rig, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So
it's impossible. Also in the designs, we only designed the views that would be in the short.
Yeah.
So there's no side views. There's no things like that.
And Master Lenny in the chat says, I really, really like these designs. So I thought I would share.
Good job, Mathieu. It's all
thank you.
Yeah. The main character designer.
And then we moved on to Animatic, and also to save cost on this, because it was low cost. We did all of the storyboards inside of Harmony because we didn't get the budget to get Storyboard Pro or anything like that. So this is literally just a regular Harmony scene that we did all the storyboard in. What's nice with that is we went straight into the animatic stage. So we imported the song. So we had the song, and I just did all the drawings on the sound. And
you did the whole song in one Harmony scene?
Yeah.
How many frames long is that scene?
It's like a few thousand.
That's
oh my god.
Frame.
That's 5,000.
I mean, it is a sturdy program.
Yeah,
here's the proof.
The proof of Harmony. But you need a good computer though. Like the last computer of Mathieu wouldn't have been able to get through this one. But it's still, if there's no effects on it, if there's no like colors and stuff, if it's just straight up pencil lines, it's less heavy. So we were able to put the 4,351 frames in all one scene.
Because if anything, you can also split it in like 4 scenes of 1 minute each instead of like 8 big 4-minute scenes. So there's always a way. That's the takeaway. There's always a way.
It was fun to be able to watch the whole thing in a video form.
Course. Yeah, and it's not that laggy. Like it's quite smooth.
No, it's smooth, and also to be able to adjust the timings with the sound and all of that was. It's a nice in between if you don't have the money to get Storyboard Pro.
Yeah.
And so in the node view,
it's crazy. The node view is crazy.
But it's like a controlled chaos. But all of the scenes, it's like all of this composite is one scene, one shot, and then I moved on to every single shot. So
the shot 4, shot 5.
So then 6, I could like do a little editing in the timeline view like this. It's not ideal. It would have been easier on Storyboard Pro, but for the budget, it worked good enough.
There is always a way.
And what's nice with this, because we could have done it in like Photoshop and then edit it in Premiere, but with this, what's nice is that all of the backgrounds and stuff, like especially like this big one, that ended up being the format that we would use later on.
Yeah, you can open the scene. It's the first one on the left.
When we did the final one, like this. So we literally, I don't know, maybe I removed it.
I don't know. No, it's this one.
Is this it? But I just, I uploaded
the animatic.
The animatic that, I don't know if it works.
Yeah, I think we see it.
It's here, but it's literally the same.
It's the same size, it's the same proportion and stuff, and it's close enough to what the final one looks like, and it's all done in Harmony too. So it's all a vector background.
And I was even able to reuse the camera move that I used on that other scene.
Yep.
So that was a big time saver. And so then we moved on to have the actual finish.
Since we couldn't have like a scene planner on our team, so it was all the work of the two of us. So it was a quite fast production. We had to be able to
And that's a
be
good
flexible
point.
and stuff.
Because also to save time at the scene planning stage, the scene planning stage would be in a big production, someone would do the background, someone would do the rigs, and I don't know, other stuff, other assets, and people would. There's one guy on a production that would take all of those elements and put them in the scene to prepare for the animators to come in and do their work. But in
What
this,
luxury.
since I did the background in the scene, it was already there, so there was no need to go back and find all the stuff. So I created the scenes at the same time as I was creating the backgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and since
Very
everything was
nice.
vectorized, like for the fire, it was easy to animate since it was a vector and not a bitmap drawing and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, we didn't do the backgrounds in Photoshop. We did everything in Harmony to save time. So every background is also all in vectors. So yeah, everything that had to be
I'll
animated.
be honest, more and more studios are going that way too, just because it's that much more efficient. So like, unless you need something super painterly, something like where you need to like smudge paint around, a lot of studios do that because you have so many advantages, like the weight of the line you can change in your scenes, the colors and everything. So yeah, it's not that far-fetched. It's pretty smart.
Back and forth, it's mostly that. So you save the back and forth with the other teams.
Because the classic thing the classic problem that would happen in productions is the doors. So every time a character would open a door, if it's done in Photoshop, there will always be like
you don't have the drawing.
You don't have enough drawings.
You don't have the in-betweens. You don't have the final drawing.
Yeah. The in-betweens don't work with the timing you want. So there's always you got to go back into backgrounds and
and in this case we have a bunch of doors that we had to do during the production because they're closing and opening a bunch of doors.
Yeah.
So we like redrew them or we put a rig on them.
This example so here
for the windows, like that's a good example.
Like
I don't know who did the fire on the car, by the way, but I love it.
It's Mathieu.
I wanted to say
it. It's a simple trick to animate the fire. You can just put
but like the timing is just so smooth and so nice. I really like it. It's groovy. But yeah, show us your trick.
Well, I could maybe do it later, but what I do is I create this deformer on it, and I just up and down the whole thing, and then I take all those little individual curve points, and then I delay them to create this waving pattern.
So you animate it once, like
just
back
going
and
up
forth,
and down,
and then you go into the rig that you did, and you can make the keys of each point individually. So that's how you kind of play with the timing, and then you kind of do it by feeling, right?
Yeah, but maybe it sounds complicated, but it's
it's pretty easy.
It's very simple. And so yeah, for the backgrounds, so see this scene here, there's a lot of interaction with the background. See, now it's breaking the window,
coming through it, and then
there's the door here. So we were able to create like a deformer on the door, so it would bounce like this. And
the hand through the floor,
and then when the door just like that, we were able to create new drawings easily for the animation.
The colors would be the same, the texture is the same, like you don't see the transition.
And also for the overlays and stuff like this, it was so much easier. Than there was no need to create like a mask, like
a cutter,
like cutters and stuff. We would just cut a hole in the copy paste the background and just cut a hole in it. So that was way easier.
And also for the zoom in and zoom out of the camera movement, we had a bunch of camera movements. So we didn't have a problem with the super big and super heavy bitmap backgrounds. And we were able to plan it already with the animatic that was done beforehand.
Yeah, because I don't know if people know this in the chat, but when you have like a big camera movement like this, you got to make it so if you do the background in Photoshop, you got to make it so that this first part would have been 1980 by 1080. So this would be gigantic.
Like bigger than 4K.
Like this would be so heavy, and it would slow down the scene when animating.
And you have a bunch of characters in this scene, so you have to optimize your workflow. So that's kind of the main selling point of doing your backgrounds in Harmony.
So that way it was very light, very easy to work. And there's also another one, which is this one. So he's climbing the stairs, and
that scene is so nice.
it's a very big background. Like if you, I don't know if so like this maybe it doesn't show, but it's very big. If you see like
the character
this,
is tiny in it,
it's
but
tiny
like,
in
it fits. It works in the scene.
In Harmony, there's no lag. If you do it all in vectors like this, there's no lag. It works well.
And you see how many scenes we have open right now. I think we have like 6 or 7 scenes.
You have a bunch.
So and everything is smooth. Like there's no problem. And it's not just my computer that is so amazing. It's really just it's because we work with the software instead of against it. That's kind of her point of view.
That's a good thing, yeah.
We're in a Toon Boom art stream, but still Toon Boom has a bit of Toon
Boom is not perfect. None of the softwares are. But you have to know the limits and what your software does best and work with it instead of against it. That's the good way to see it.
For this one, we experimented with the 3D assets. It's only like this wall is in 3D.
Yeah.
So when we do this,
it looks crazy.
It looks weird, but it works. In camera, it works. So there's also that kind of stuff you can do. Can work with 3D using 2D assets. So yeah, doing the backgrounds in Harmony was also a huge time saver. And for everything, overlays and underlays like this,
with the little
butt, it's so much easier. So yeah, that was a big time saver. And so yeah, we also worked with rigs because it's also a time saver.
Yeah, it's all in cutout except for the pizza scene that Mathieu just showed. This one we did a bit of traditional, but it doesn't show like it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it doesn't show.
So this is so this little character here is all rigged. So all those little pieces, but for that part where he's sliding in, this is traditional animation.
Yeah, it's all on tools and stuff.
But that's another strength of Harmony, just being able to mix both techniques so easily. So it's I think there's never a project like it's like 100% about rigs or 100% about traditional. Like just do whatever feels right for the scene.
Yeah, you go with the demands.
Because there is scenes that would take longer in cutout. Depends.
Yep.
Yeah. So this one was a good example, but for almost all of the other ones, it was like just straight up cutouts, and even the fighting scene.
The fighting scene.
Well, you redrew a bunch of stuff,
but it's all cut out. But I created like this hole in his chest.
Yeah.
The cutter and stuff, but
yeah, don't look outside of the camera.
Yeah.
Never.
Never look outside the camera view.
But it's mostly cut out this part.
Yeah, and it works.
Mm-hmm. So you have to go back to the animatic. So we did the whole this and we did all of those scenes. And then there was a bit of back and forth with the client also at that stage.
Yeah, and it was easy to go back into it since you didn't have to re-export your bitmap drawing from Photoshop or something, or even just rescan them from when you drew them on paper. You could just straight up change it, like make a new version, create a new drawing in Harmony, and just change it straight up in the timeline. So that was kind of a time saver. Yeah.
Yeah, it's another thing that people almost realize with like cutout and hand-drawn animation and which one to do, which one to choose. When you work with a client, one thing that few people consider with cutout animation is how much useful it is in terms of retakes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we all worked on multiple shows, right? And I know that the one I worked that was purely hand-drawn, like the Big Hero 6 show, if we would have retakes, even if it meant if the character had an arm in front of their body, they're like, oh, just move the arm up a little bit. It meant redo the whole drawing. If it's in cutout, you just select the arm and you move it up a little bit. So in terms of retakes, a lot of time it's much quicker in cutout animation, and that's the thing sometimes we don't realize, where like it's not just animation, it's retakes and colors and all that. Like you don't have to recolor every frame, they're mostly already colored, so posing is longer.
And what I like also with cutout nowadays is that you can really do like a mix of cutout and traditional. For the hands and stuff like that, you can just redraw them frame by frame. If you need the facial expressions, also like the mouth shapes,
you can customize it and do fancy stuff like in SpongeBob and stuff.
Yeah, it's very easy to go back inside your rig and do traditional animation.
Do a per scene rig.
Yeah, and that's why I always say for like younger animators that get into it, or just new animators that get into the industry, try to learn the basics of rigging at least. Like try to learn it on the job or learn it with the Toon Boom classes, just to be able to have the flexibility and the possibilities of playing in the rig for your contracts. And even on TV shows, like you didn't always have the time to send it back to the rigging department if you had a mistake really specific. So for example, like we learned early on how to remove ghost lines and how to like work with those types of smallish retake that you could like redo. Once I got for a scene, like I think I had 10 dancers to animate in a scene, and on those 10 dancers, I think I had one of them that was fully rigged, and the rigging department was on vacation, so I had to all of those characters by myself, and then animate them dancing on the beat of Michael Jackson. Yeah, that was one of the hardest things I did. Yeah, the deadline was quite short too, so it was one of the heaviest one that I did. But you live and you learn. Like you really have to learn it to be able to have the possibilities to just go back and change the stuff to your liking, because not everybody likes the rigging in the same way. But when you learn about it, you kind of learn how to work with it and what's your preference. Like for bless you. Like
thank you. I tried to mute and it didn't work.
Poor thing. Like for the node view and the setup of Harmony, everybody has a different way to work. So
yeah, there's a good way and a bad way.
That's kind of what I mean. You can customize it to your own needs. It's the same thing with the rigging and animating as a freelancer and stuff. You kind of want to learn the rig, how to do it, to be able to play with it. Like the teacher at the Cégep du Vieux that told us, Marie, that you had to learn the rules of the card game before
you break them.
Before you can cheat,
learn to cheat.
Learn the rules before learning to cheat. That's kind of the that's
you can't. Well, I mean, you cannot cheat if you don't know what rules to break. So you know.
And
also for that, something important too is I get it all the time. Like, how do you learn to rig? And I think for you, for me, and for you guys as well, like we learned to rig out of necessity. Like we didn't just be like, oh, I want to rig my 360 anime boy. No, we just like while we were doing our projects, it's like, oh, this would benefit being rigged, and you learn little by little. And I think that's my biggest advice for rigging. Little by little, do small things out of necessity, and you build your arsenal with that. I don't know. Thoughts?
To add to that, I think we were talking about that also. For us, it was because when we were in the industry, both of us we were animators, so we were not like background artists, or we did animation, and that's how I know what a good rig is, because I
had to play with it.
I animated with tons of different types of rigs, and I know what's easy to work with, what's hard to work with, what allows for more complex animations. So to view it from that perspective of, as an animator, what's a good rig, helps me so much now that I do my own rigging. So I think that's
that's the advantage.
Yeah, nothing teaches you how to rig more than animating your goddamn rig. Because I learned so much. Like I did a rig, I was like, oh yeah, it's great. I tried to animate it and it was crap. It was awful. It's like, okay, not doing this again. And you learn from it. So
even like in a bigger sense, I think for us to start the company, to have the opportunity to work as animators in the industry and not as any other job helped us a lot, because the animator job is where everything
You do
collides.
everything.
You get the backgrounds, you work with the storyboards, you work with the rigs, you work with the character designs, and when you're animating in a studio, you can see how these things come together and what works, what doesn't work. Because there is sometimes you get asked to do some types of animation and you're like, what if it was storyboarded that way? It would have been so much easier. Maybe it would have been more efficient, or would have worked better for the storytelling purposes and stuff like that. So this experience, I think, it's a hard job to be working as an animator in a studio.
Really hard.
But if you get the chance, if you really want to learn about the pipeline and you want to, I think if you want to be like a director or something like that, I think it would be really beneficial to have experience as an animator in a production, because I think gives you like a nice overview of everything, because it's really
because no shade, but most of the directors I had in different projects, each time we had issues, it was because they didn't have the trenches experience. Like if you don't know what your team is going through, then you say, oh, but it's just a little animation fix, but it was actually a huge mess. So learning the craft before you direct it is so important.
The best directors that I had worked on production beforehand.
Yep.
They understood the work, they understood what they were asking of us, and they knew that we were the ones like kind of lifting the production by the tip of our fingers, and it was easier to communicate with them. It was easier to ask it to change a few things and stuff.
Because even though schools offer directing like diplomas and stuff, like yes, they teach you something, but there's nothing that is going to replace actually learning it. So like if you expect to get out of school and direct something, I don't think so. So go learn it like in the trenches.
Right now we're trying to produce our own material, so we're trying to create our own things. And for example, Mathieu is working on a short film and he's collaborating with a producer that comes from live action, but the guy is like super open about it and he tries to learn the animation process and stuff, and he's like super open to learn. So I think that when you come from another dimension, like the real
it's another dimension. I agree.
Yeah, when you come from the 4D dimension and you go to the 2D dimension, you like to be humble and to learn from the experts and to listen to your team. I think it's super important, and it's kind of what makes it or break it for a production. Like we've seen so many production going in the red and like
didn't we?
and burning the
delayed,
people, getting delayed, losing money, losing people and stuff. Like I've seen people doing overtime, unpaid overtime, a bunch, like in the past few years.
It comes back to what we were saying at the start of the stream, is like success as a director, as a studio, and as I think also as a storyboard artist, is to be able to see a big picture of the production and where it's going and what is going to be difficult, and to
have a vision.
And to be able to see these things coming and react to it before it's too late, and create, like if for example you look at this storyboard that we're playing right now, there is no or very little perspective shot,
or crazy camera movement,
because it would have been too complicated. And I worked on shows that was low budget, not a lot of time to animate the episodes, but you looked at the storyboard and it was those crazy camera movements, the crazy perspective where you see the characters in weird ways, and it makes
it not traditional animation. It was cut out, so it was super hard.
And sometimes it brings nothing to the story.
That's it.
Like if you do a shot like that, it better bring something to the story. Like if it doesn't, then why are you doing this?
And on a deadline also, when you're trying to do those things like the perspective and trying to animate this storyboard that is, say, like it's for like a TV show, but you look at the storyboard and you're like, oh, that's feature film quality.
Yeah, that's movie quality.
Well, on a deadline, on a budget, it's gonna look worse than if the storyboard was simpler, efficient. Than, like for example, on Les Grandes Gueules, which is a super simple TV show. Everything is flat. When I worked on that show, everything was flat. There was no crazy camera angle, but the animation turned out so good because
it was so good and funny. The timing was everything.
We had the time to work on the animation. We weren't stuck on trying to figure out how to
change the perspective on the rig and stuff.
And those rigs that was not really made for the crazy perspectives and stuff. So it turned out better looking than this crazy ambitious other show that would have those, that would just put everything on the
you have to ask yourself, is it good enough to be a money shot? Like, is it a money shot necessary for your TV show? Is it, like, money-wise, is it okay to put so much time on this scene, or it doesn't add anything to the story? So if you have just a character going to their boat, like, I'm thinking about a specific scene that I worked on, your character is going to a boat, and the atmosphere is super funny, super lighthearted, and it's like a camera shot from the under the chin angle and stuff, and it's super like an epic shot with an action view and stuff. But do you really need it? Like, after that, she's going in the boat, super happy, singing about her pirate story and stuff. Maybe it wasn't the time to put like that much energy on the shot. Like, it wasn't necessary. She's just walking straight.
I think that's one of the best lesson I got from like our teachers at school. Maybe you don't remember, but I know they told us, like, in terms of like character design, if you're gonna add a fioriture, like Pierre would say, like if you're gonna add like a little detail to your character, it better be meaningful to the story, or else you could just keep it out, right? Like, if you have a character that stands on its own and is great, like, do you need that zipper? Like, is the story about the zipper that you add to their vest or whatever, like, is it important? If not, and if not, you don't have the budget, this is the thing you cut first. So if their budget is low, keep everything close to the story as you can.
It's all about making smart choices all the way from the beginning to make sure that the production goes smoothly and that the quality of the product is as high as you can. Because I think if you're too ambitious, then the quality is going to suffer. And that also, to go for full circle, is with experience, you get better to make those calls, to know where to cut, to know where to not go too far. And
a good example with this animatic, like, to come back to it, it's that we were able, from the animatic, to see what would be the problematic scenes, what would be the one that we had to flag, and if we had the time to give that much attention to one specific scene. So for this one, for example, we knew that it would be a problem from the start with all of the extra perspective and stuff. So in the timeline of production, I put so much more time just for this scene. I think you had 2 weeks to do it. Yeah, you had 2 weeks to do just that scene. And like, I think you still had to put a bit more time on it.
Yeah.
It took quite a while just for one scene.
But we knew it was the money shot.
It was planned.
It was well spent. And then when you look at the other scenes from this one, it's all super simple. It's super simple. It's just like most of the scenes.
But it works because of the timing. It works because of the acting and the animation.
Yeah.
Sometimes the storyboard can be more simple, but you can punch at other places in the animation, in the designs, in the timing, things like that.
Yeah. So everything is a question of balance, and having that balance in your short, like, you can do high production value work as a freelancer with smaller budgets, but you have to be smart about it. So this one, the backgrounds are in vectors, the character designs are super simple and easy to manipulate, the rigs were super simple and easy to play with, the even the accessories are all in the vectors and playable with. We
used rigs also, because I know a lot of young animators, they want to do it like in traditional animation. They think
rigs are impure. They're not pure.
It takes so much time, and it's so difficult. So sometimes you gotta make smart choices if you want to be able to do it. And I think also, like, people that start, they just wanna do the best they can in every single part of the process. So they give their all in the storyboard, they give their all in the character designs, they make super complicated designs. Then they want to do it in traditional animation by themselves, and then at the end of the day,
and it's like, oh, my project never got done. I don't know why.
it took me 7 years to do this short. It's like,
yeah, and even
is it worth it?
Even the best organized person will see that it's not, like, animation as a whole is a labor of love. It's kind of it's always a lot of efforts and stuff. Oh, I see that the scene cuts too short.
I think also, like, because we've been thinking about that since we started the business in this, like, the animation as a form of art, as a medium, it's so time consuming. Like, it's so hard to get the product out the door.
Fast. Nothing is
like this, with all the smart choices we did, took us 3.5 to 4 months from the beginning, which is
that's fast.
That's
you guys are crazy.
But you tell that to someone that works like in live action, they go like, wow, that's long. That's a long time. Because so that's the thing. It's such a time consuming process.
It's really a labor of love, like I was saying, and it's like you have to be smart about it. You have to not burn yourself too fast. Like I think I saw a few people.
Like no project is worth you burning yourself.
Yes,
Chris.
I saw a few people when I was at Concordia trying to do those big ass films, like big ass production, and they had like a semester to do it. So it's, I think, 4.5 months, and they're alone to do it. So you have to do such a big production in 4.5 months, and they have this whole idea like it's going to be a big documentary with those voices, and like it's going to be an action shot coming into a city, and it's going to be like the whole city is going to have like a 200 people walking in it, and it's all in traditional, and it's all going to be like Disney.
Oh my god!
The character design, they're all unique,
and it's all self-inserts of my family and stuff. Like it's
my anime character
projects, but you're never going to be able to do it in 4 months. And if you try to do it anyway, you're going to burn yourself trying and end up with a less satisfying project. So to be smart about your things, to be like clever about your choices in your scenario, in your storyboard, animatic, and then your character design, to be like, try to be smart and optimize the process every time. And even if you do Disney quality animation, even if you do a full traditional animation, try to stay smart about it. Like a good example that I always give, like when we were animation teachers at the people school, it was like use reference, use everything that you can, Google it before trying something new, just to see if someone had an optimized version to do it, an optimized method, I mean. Or like a good example is Walt Disney movies for, I think it was the Beauty and the Beast dancing scene. It's a dancing scene that was used in Cinderella. It's a dancing scene that was used in La Belle au Bois dormant. It was Sleeping Beauty. Yeah. So it was like the same dancing scene was used as a reference for a bunch of different movies, and they're unashamed of it. Like it, and it's like one of the biggest studios.
It's just smart.
Yeah, it's just a smart move. Like even if you're Glenn Keane or even if you're James Baxter, you're still gonna use reference. You're still gonna film yourself. You're still gonna do anatomy studies. You're still gonna like use the tools at your service to create the best animation that you can. And it's the same for cutout animation for a small project like this. Like it's still gonna be like you're still gonna want to use all of the tools available to you to create the most efficient production and the smoothest production.
You got all of those tools, but you got to know how to use them efficiently and don't get carried away. It's easy to be too ambitious.
Yeah, and ask questions and like reach out to people around you, like to people in the industry that you admire. Don't hesitate to send like emails to like people that you're a fan of, for example. Like that's what I did for a recent project, and I'm quite surprised by the response. Everybody wants to help everybody. It's kind of a welcoming community in the animation industry, and it's quite. I don't know why I found
it.
And
if it's not, look elsewhere.
But it's so cool. Like we all love the same thing. We all, because you have to be passionate to work in this industry. I think it's unforgiving for those that are not passionate. So I think it's that's the nice part of the industry. And since we had our company, like since we created the company, like it's amazing to see how people come together to create amazing projects and stuff and are so clever about it. Yeah. That's super cool.
So we have about like 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Time flies so fast. So I'm just gonna check the chat if there's anything. No, people are just saying that everything is fantastic. It looks so good. Okay, so that's it for YouTube. And for Twitch, you guys are getting so much love. People love everything you guys did. It's so nice. Thank you, everybody who's in chat and saying stuff like vectors or superior. Well, they are if you want to save time for most things. Okay. So, do you have anything you want to add in particular that you didn't have time to talk about?
Go follow us on Instagram, Cagoule Animation.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, can you put your socials or maybe send them to me on the Discord or Messenger, and I'll add them myself. Because I don't know if you guys are logged into like the YouTube or the Twitch, and I can just do that. In the meantime, I'm just gonna let you know that for the Toon Boom part, there is more streams happening each days that are planned. You can check out our Twitch page. I think usually we announce it right there. And if you want to join a fun community, you can also visit the links that are shared into the chat at the moment. And also, if you want to join another fun community, I have my YouTube channel that has a Discord community that you can join. It's free and fun if you want to share your projects, or because Mathieu and Louise-Andrée, you have each other and that's great, but some people are alone. So if you just want to find people to relate to and share your projects,
important to like
go ahead and visit this.
I approve of this message.
Yeah. All your links are also shared into the chat for Cagoule Animation.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you appreciated the stream today. We were quite nervous. So still, Mathieu has the teacher gene. I don't know how you do it, but like...
Since I have been a teacher.
Well, it was amazing.
And if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to us on Instagram or whatever.
We'll try to answer any questions. We're very open to sharing our knowledge, so don't hesitate. It's always fun to see like passionate people in the industry trying to make it work.
Yep.
Like, during these trying times. Yeah.
And I think my advice also is that, yes, the industry is it's a bit slow these days, but I think this is a good opportunity for people to resource themselves. And there's nothing wrong with finding like a quote-unquote regular job. Like one of my friends says, it's like, daytime I'm flipping burgers, at night I'm animating like crazy, because then they have energy to do so, right? So there's nothing wrong with like just taking that time to resource yourself and maybe learn something new. If the industry is low on job, use that opportunity to better yourself and learn new skills, new techniques, because when it starts again, you don't want to miss a shot. So take time to, or just take a break. Taking a break is also important, but never stop learning.
There's more and more smaller projects. Like that's what we're seeing. In the industry. I think the response from the artists is that if we can't work on the big production, then we're gonna do our own thing. And like you can
smaller things.
Yeah, and you can get a budget from the government depending on where you are for producing a small thing. So sometimes doing your own stuff, like
making commissions and stuff, so useful.
Sometimes doing your own project is a good way to take a break from the industry, since you're still in it, but you work on your stuff. So sometimes it's a well-deserved break.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was super fun. Thank you so much for coming over and giving all this advice. Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
And so don't forget to check Cagoule Animation on their socials, like Instagram, the website, and everything. And it was a pleasure to have you all. And with that, I'm going to say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye is the code word.
Did it?
Janelle, where were you?